Smart is not the one who knows a lot, but the one who does not do stupid things. The philosophy of Stoicism is not only about calmness and acceptance. It's also about thinking rationally and not making mistakes that keep us from being happy. In this video, we'll look at 8 common habits that make us look like fools and learn how to fight them with the help of Stoicism. Excessive pessimism. The first thing smart people avoid is excessive pessimism and negativity. Extreme pessimism is a way of thinking that negatively affects a person's life. Constantly thinking about negative scenarios, worrying about the future, and assuming that something bad is going to happen can negatively affect a person's mental and physical health. This type of thinking reduces people's motivation, undermines their self-confidence, and prevents them from being efficient and effective in their daily lives. Smart people know how to avoid this pessimistic mindset and instead develop a more positive outlook on the world. Pessimism usually stems from negative experiences in the past and is fueled by the fear that a similar negative thing will happen in the future. However, constantly thinking that something bad will happen prevents a person from enjoying the moment and noticing the beautiful aspects of life. This negatively affects a person's attitude towards reality. When intelligent people notice such thoughts, they question them and develop a more realistic and balanced point of view. One effective way to deal with negative thoughts is to consciously change the way you think. When a negative thought comes to mind, smart people evaluate how realistic it is and try to replace it with a more positive alternative. The power of gratitude. They also practice gratitude to increase positive thoughts and positive experiences. Writing or thinking daily about things they are grateful for positively changes their overall outlook and reduces pessimism. Smart people also choose their surroundings carefully. Spending time with people who are consistently negative and pessimistic affects a person's own thinking. Therefore, smart people try to establish positive and supportive relationships. They also avoid negative media content and news because such content can also increase pessimism. Lessons in Stoicism. Excessive pessimism is a serious problem that reduces a person's quality of life. Smart people make a conscious effort to avoid such thoughts, develop positive thoughts, and fill their environment with positive people and experiences. In this way, they live happier, healthier, and more fulfilling lives. Stoicism offers valuable teachings, especially about pessimism and negativity. According to Stoic philosophy, one's happiness and inner peace do not arise from external events, but from one's reactions and attitudes toward those events. Stoics argue that we cannot control events in the external world, but we can control our reactions and thoughts to those events. Stoicism teaches us to distinguish between what we can and cannot control, which is one of the keys to avoiding excessive pessimism. This distinction is known as the dichotomy of control. Instead of worrying about events we cannot control, we should focus on controlling our attitudes and reactions to those events. This reduces pessimism and helps us live a more balanced and peaceful life. For example, the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It is not events that bother people, but their judgments about those events." This insight emphasizes that the way to deal with negative thoughts and pessimism is to change the way we view events. Stoics advise us to accept things as they are and simply mold our own reactions. In this way, we can maintain inner peace even in the face of negative situations. Stoicism offers ways to avoid excessive pessimism and negativity by following the path of a balanced life, and teaches us that we cannot control external events, but we can control our attitudes and reactions to those events. Excuses, the enemies of development. The second thing that intelligent people avoid is constant attempts to justify themselves. Constantly trying to justify oneself is a common behavior pattern that can cause various difficulties in both personal and professional life. This attitude leads a person to assume that he or she is always right and that the opinions of others are wrong or unhelpful. Smart people know that this behavior can damage relationships, interfere with learning, and halt individual development. So instead of constantly defending their point of view and always being right, they prefer to be open to different opinions and learn from others. When a person is constantly trying to justify themselves, they are actually taking a defensive stance. This defensive stance can lead to oversensitivity to criticism or differing opinions. Such a person thinks that arguments are battles to be won and may use aggressive or manipulative methods to enforce his or her point of view. This situation not only creates stress for the person himself, but also negatively affects his relationships with others. Openness to new things. By avoiding such harmful behavior, smart people build healthier relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. Constantly striving to be right also limits a person's ability to learn and grow. If a person always believes that what they know is right, they will reject new information and other points of view. This state prevents a person from developing intellectually and acquiring new skills or knowledge. Intelligent people recognize that it is natural to make mistakes, and they improve themselves by learning from those mistakes. It is important for them not to always be right, but to find the truth. Self-confidence and inner strength. Constantly trying to justify yourself can also have a negative impact on self-confidence. While this behavior may at first appear to be an indicator of self-confidence, it actually hides a deep insecurity. The constant need to be right indicates that a person bases his or her self-esteem on external validation and the approval of others. Smart people learn to have inner confidence and recognize their own worth regardless of external factors. Thus, instead of becoming defensive when faced with criticism and differing opinions, they view these situations as opportunities for growth. Constant attempts to justify oneself can lead to various difficulties in a person's personal and professional life. This behavior can cause stress and relationship problems, as well as hinder learning and development opportunities. Smart people avoid this behavior, preferring to keep an open mind, value the opinions of others, and learn from their mistakes. This attitude promotes both personal and professional success and provides healthier and more satisfying relationships, with constant attempts to justify oneself not considered a wise attitude. As the Stoics' philosophy emphasizes values such as humility, virtue, and openness to learning. Stoics emphasize that accepting one's own mistakes and shortcomings and learning from others is crucial to combating conceit and selfishness. Internal control is more important. A central tenet of Stoic philosophy is the recognition that we cannot control the external events and thoughts of others. Marcus Aurelius draws attention to the importance of inner control and our own reactions when he says, "Nothing can harm you except your own thoughts. True harm is that which disturbs our own inner peace and tranquility." Stoics also says that knowing the truth requires a constant process of questioning and learning. Epictetus emphasizes the importance of listening and learning, saying, "Nature has given us 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice and speak once." Humility and openness are the path to wisdom. Living a humble life, setting aside the desire to be right, being open to the opinions of others, and learning from their opinions are the reflection of the Stoic virtues. Rather than constantly trying to make excuses, Stoicism recommends humbly admitting one's mistakes, being open to learning, and controlling one's internal reactions. Fear of failure is not a judgment. The third thing that smart people avoid is fear of failure. Fear of failure is a common emotion that many people face, and this fear can prevent a person from realizing their potential. This fear causes people to avoid taking risks, be closed off to new experiences, and hesitate to take the necessary steps to achieve their goals. Perfectionism as a cause of fear. Fear of failure is often linked to perfectionism and insecurity. A person believes that everything must be perfect and is left idle because he or she fears that he or she will not be able to meet these standards. This situation halts personal and professional development, undermines a person's self-confidence, and hinders his or her potential success. How to overcome fear? To overcome the fear of failure, it is important to understand the origin of this fear. Often the fear of failure arises from a negative experience received in childhood and fixed in later life. To overcome this fear, it is necessary to question and reevaluate these experiences and beliefs. Lessons from failure. Smart people know how to learn from their mistakes and use these lessons as building blocks for future success. For them, failure is a natural part of the learning process, and each failure is a step toward the next success. Small steps to big wins. Another way to overcome the fear of failure is to set small and achievable goals. Big goals can be intimidating and cause fear of failure, but by breaking those big goals down into small achievable pieces, you can take things one step at a time and enjoy each small success. In this way, you will be able to conquer the fear of failure. Smart people use this strategy to achieve their big goals by motivating themselves while keeping themselves encouraged every step of the way. A new beginning instead of defeat. In addition to conquering the fear of failure, it's important to redefine the concept of failure. Although failure is often perceived as a negative situation, it is actually an important teacher. Every failure provides valuable lessons. Smart people view failures as learning opportunities and move on, gaining strength from the experience. For them, failure is not the end, but a new beginning. Finally, having a supportive environment also plays a crucial role in overcoming the fear of failure. Positive and uplifting relationships boost a person's confidence and strengthen their ability to cope with adversity. Smart people try to surround themselves with people who support and encourage them. This support system boosts morale during difficult times and reduces the fear of failure. Fear of failure is not a judgment if you know how to take action. Fear of failure is a serious obstacle that prevents people from realizing their potential. To overcome this fear, smart people learn from their mistakes, set small and achievable goals, redefine the concept of failure, and create a supportive environment. These approaches increase a person's confidence and allow them to take bolder and more decisive steps. By overcoming the fear of failure, people discover new opportunities. So the fear of failure ceases to be an obstacle and becomes a stepping stone to growth and learning. Lessons from Stoicism. From the external to the internal. From a Stoicism perspective, the fear of failure is considered a natural part of life. To deal with this fear, Stoics emphasize that we cannot control external events and outcomes, but we can control our attitudes and reactions to these events. From this perspective, overcoming the fear of failure is possible by changing one's internal attitude. Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, teach that failure and hardship offer opportunities for personal growth. Marcus Aurelius says, "The mind can remain calm and serene in every event as long as it is guided by itself according to the nature of that event." This means to be able to remain equanimous in the face of external events and setbacks. Failure from a Stoic perspective is just an event, and how that event affects us depends entirely on our internal reaction. Epictetus, on the other hand, advises us not to give much weight to the opinions of others or external influences, saying, "Do your own thing. It is none of your business what other people do." Freedom from other people's judgment. Fear of failure is often fueled by the judgments and expectations of others. Stoicism recommends focusing on our own inner values and virtues, regardless of external factors. When we focus on ourselves, process and personal growth become important rather than immediate results. Focus on what you can change. Stoicism suggests overcoming the fear of failure by focusing on internal reactions that we can control, rather than external events that we cannot control. Stop looking for blame. The fourth thing that smart people avoid is blaming others. Blaming others is a person's tendency to avoid feeling guilty for their own mistakes or negative consequences by placing blame on others. This behavior leads to many negative consequences in personal and professional life and is detrimental to both the individual and those around them. Smart people recognize the importance of self-reflection and understand that accepting responsibility is crucial to both individual development and healthy relationships. Self-protection or a path to nowhere. The tendency to blame others is often part of a person's self-defense mechanism. This behavior brings short-term relief. By blaming others for one's mistakes instead of admitting one's own mistakes and shortcomings, it is as if the person is relieved of the burden of responsibility. In the long run, however, this attitude hurts a person's ability to improve and learn from his or her mistakes. A person who does not recognize his or her mistakes and constantly blames others will tend to repeat the same mistakes, creating a vicious cycle of failure. Smart people know how to learn from their mistakes and use those lessons as a foundation for future success. Blaming behavior also negatively affects relationships. Someone who constantly blames others cannot build healthy relationships based on trust and respect. Blaming breeds distrust and discourages cooperation and empathy. At work or in personal relationships, blaming interferes with teamwork and achieving common goals. Smart people recognize the negative consequences of this behavior and try to establish healthy and trusting relationships by taking responsibility. Responsibility is the key to development. Accepting responsibility also plays a crucial role in personal development and leadership development. Responsible people recognize their mistakes and learn from them. This makes them stronger and more effective leaders. By accepting responsibility instead of blaming others, you also improve your problem-solving abilities. People who seek solutions rather than blame when faced with problems have more creative and flexible thinking abilities. Being honest with yourself. To overcome the tendency to blame others, it is important to develop self-awareness and internal critical abilities. Learn to objectively evaluate your own behavior and thoughts, and be willing to admit mistakes. This process can be difficult and uncomfortable at times, but in the long run it provides personal growth and fulfillment. Smart people embrace this process and strive to continually improve. Blaming as a dead-end path. The bottom line is that blaming is a pattern of behavior that inevitably harms relationships. Smart people understand the importance and value of accepting responsibility. By avoiding imposing guilt on others, they choose the path of development. Accepting responsibility is crucial to personal growth, building healthy relationships, and developing leadership skills. Stoic wisdom. Don't waste energy on what is out of your power. From a Stoic perspective, blaming others is a behavior that should be avoided in order to protect one's inner peace and stay true to one's principles. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that the only thing a person can control is their own reactions and thoughts. We have no control over external events and the behavior of others, so blaming others for these external factors is incompatible with Stoicism. It's not the situation, it's your attitude. Epictetus says, "People are not concerned with events themselves, but with their judgments about those events." He argues that it is not the external events that matter, but our reactions to those events. To blame others is to think that external events and the behavior of others affect us. This is contrary to the teachings of the Stoics because the Stoics focus on inner control and self-improvement. Lessons are stepping stones, not a cause for complaint. Marcus Aurelius also says, "Everything that happens to you gives you the strength to endure and serves your well-being," emphasizing that challenges and even mistakes that arise open up opportunities for personal growth. The Stoic approach is to accept these challenges and learn from them, rather than blaming others. This allows the individual to take responsibility and discover his or her inner strength. So, the main principle of the Stoics is that a person should control their inner reactions and follow their principles rather than blaming others. Gossip. Poison for relationships. The fifth thing that smart people avoid is gossip. Gossip is a form of behavior in which people unknowingly or intentionally talk behind the backs of others, often spreading negative or unverified information. Such talk often destroys trust between people, negatively impacts relationships, and makes the overall atmosphere toxic. Smart people understand the importance of avoiding gossip and are aware of how such behavior negatively affects individuals and society as a whole. Encroaching on other people's space. Gossip is a behavior that often invades the privacy of others and damages their reputation. In terms of Stoic philosophy, to gossip is to disturb the peace of mind of others and violate their right to privacy. Stoics emphasize the importance of respect for others and the need to avoid damaging their personal boundaries. Epictetus advises against interfering in the privacy of others and avoiding harmful behaviors such as gossip. Leave the affairs of others. Mind your own business. Waste of time and energy. Gossip can also be seen as a behavior that usually reflects the inner turmoil of the gossipers themselves. By saying something about others, a person may try to boost their self-esteem or experience a sense of superiority. However, this behavior can seriously affect him or herself in the long run. Dignity and respect instead of scheming. Instead of seeking external approval or trying to assert themselves by criticizing others, smart people prefer healthy communication methods and choose positive interactions. The price of gossip is reputation. Gossip can also have a negative impact on trust and professional reputation. Spreading rumors in business or social circles can prevent a person from gaining trust and respect. It can undermine important elements such as cooperation and team spirit, and can have serious consequences for both personal and business relationships. Smart people prefer to build trust and avoid gossip, fostering effective communication and collaboration. create an atmosphere of respect. So, gossip is a form of behavior that can lead to harmful consequences in both personal and social relationships, undermining trust and destroying social harmony. Intelligent people respect the privacy and reputation of others and avoid harmful behaviors such as gossip. In terms of Stoic philosophy, to gossip is to destroy one's inner world and harm others. By avoiding gossip, we contribute to a healthier and more positive socializing environment. Smart people understand the importance of avoiding gossip and maintaining healthy communication and relationships. Gossip is generally considered behavior that invades people's privacy and damages their reputation. In terms of Stoic philosophy, slandering or speculating about others disturbs inner peace and undermines morals. The Stoics teach that people's privacy and dignity should be respected. Epictetus advises against interfering in the privacy of others and avoiding behaviors such as gossip. Leave other people's business. Mind your own business. A trap for the insecure. Gossip is a form of behavior that often reflects the inner turmoil of the gossipers themselves. A person may experience a short-term sense of superiority by gossiping about others, but this behavior can negatively affect their own reputation and relationships with others in the long run. Be above gossip. Smart people prefer healthy ways to express themselves and communicate by maintaining their self-esteem and encouraging positive interactions rather than criticizing the mistakes of others. Gossip can also seriously damage credibility and professional reputation. Gossip in business or social circles can damage important ingredients for success such as cooperation and team spirit, and can have serious consequences in both personal and business relationships. Honesty and openness is the best strategy. To build trust in communication and collaboration, it is important to avoid gossip. They breed distrust, weaken relationships, and destroy overall harmony. Smart people respect the privacy and reputation of others, avoid harmful behaviors such as gossip, and choose open and friendly communication. From the perspective of Stoic philosophy, gossip is a form of behavior that disturbs a person's inner peace and harms others. Thus, by avoiding gossip, we foster a more positive atmosphere and promote personal development. Emotions, not enemies, but signals. The sixth thing that smart people avoid is suppressing their emotions. Suppression is the tendency to deny or ignore your feelings and emotions instead of living and expressing them. While this behavior may seem like an effective short-term strategy, it can have devastating mental health consequences in the long run. Smart people understand the importance of a healthy emotional life. They strive to understand, express, and control their emotions. The dangers of suppressing emotions. Suppressing emotions often leads to emotional exhaustion and stress. When a person doesn't give themselves permission to experience unpleasant feelings or hides them even from themselves, internal conflict arises, which can lead to anxiety, depression, and other mental health problems. Awareness and acceptance. Smart people prefer to be aware and accepting of their emotions rather than suppressing them. A conscious approach to emotions is a way to develop emotional intelligence, which will enable you to cope more effectively. Stoicism, in search of inner harmony. The philosophy of the Stoics emphasizes the importance of accepting emotions and developing skills to manage one's reactions. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that it is important not to suppress emotions, but to strive for their harmonious and healthy manifestation. If you see that something is right, do it. If it is wrong, avoid it. Rather than suppressing emotions, the Stoics recommend directing your efforts toward maintaining inner balance and achieving harmony. Reflection in relationships. Suppressing emotions can also negatively affect relationships with others. By suppressing feelings, people deprive themselves of the opportunity to establish a trusting connection and emotional intimacy. For example, if a person constantly holds back anger or frustration, over time this can lead to emotional outbursts and alienation. Healthy relationships need open expression of feelings. Developing emotional intelligence and awareness is the path to inner harmony and stronger relationships with others. Understanding and freely expressing emotions is an opportunity to better understand yourself and fulfill your emotional needs. In harmony with yourself, smart people develop healthy strategies for coping with emotional difficulties. This enhances both their mental and physical health. So, Suppressing emotions is a dead-end path that can be detrimental to health in the long run. By learning to understand, express, and control their emotions in a healthy way, people enrich their emotional lives and build deeper connections with others. Stoicism, emotions under control. Stoic philosophy also encourages not suppressing emotions, but learning to manage them and maintain inner balance, which enhances a person's spiritual health and improves the quality of life. Why is it important not to hoard emotions inside? Suppressing emotions is an attempt to avoid both negative and positive experiences, to hide the feelings one is experiencing. It is a kind of defense mechanism that helps one cope with emotional pain or discomfort, but it can have devastating effects on emotional health in the long run. Emotions play an important role in a person's life, and suppressing them over time can lead to serious problems such as stress, anxiety, and depression. Smart people understand the importance of developing emotional intelligence and healthy ways to express feelings. Consequences that affect all areas of life: internal tension and physical health. Suppressing emotions increases the internal tension a person stores within themselves, which over time can negatively impact physical health. It can also increase the tendency to display aggression, both direct and passive, which in turn can lead to relationship problems, communication problems, and misunderstandings. In terms of Stoic philosophy, it is important to channel emotions properly rather than suppress them. Stoics teach that the source of our emotional reactions is from events in the external world that we cannot control. We can, however, control our reactions. In the words of Marcus Aurelius, people are not concerned with the events themselves, but with their opinions about those events. Stoics recommend striving for inner harmony and mindfulness to learn how to manage your emotional reactions. Developing empathy. One of the long-term consequences of suppressing emotions is that it hinders the development of emotional intelligence and empathy. People who suppress their emotions may have difficulty understanding not only their inner world, but also the feelings of others. Be open to yourself and the world. Suppressing emotions can have devastating effects on emotional health and negatively impact a person's overall well-being. Smart people learn to express and manage their emotions in healthy ways, which promotes emotional intelligence. Trying to please everyone, denying yourself. The seventh thing that smart people avoid is trying to please everyone. This is a form of behavior stemming from the fact that we all need acceptance and seek positive reactions from those around us. This attitude often involves a tendency to ignore one's own needs or values for the sake of conforming to the expectations of others and earning their approval. A lost self. In the long run, however, this behavior can cause a person to lose his or her identity and experience a deep sense of dissatisfaction. Smart people prefer to set healthy boundaries in communication, respect their own values and needs, and strive to develop harmonious relationships in which there is no room for manipulation and infringement of anyone's interests. Origins of the problem. Trying to please others is often the result of insecurity or seeking external approval. This type of behavior causes a person to act based not on their own desires and beliefs, but on external factors. By constantly trying to please others, a person may never dare to express his or her individuality and make his or her desires known. This situation can eventually lead to feelings of personal dissatisfaction and anxiety. Stoic wisdom. Be yourself. In terms of Stoic philosophy, chasing other people's approval leads to a loss of inner harmony and suppresses individuality. The Stoics advise focusing on developing inner qualities and not allowing external factors to manipulate oneself. In the words of Epictetus, it is necessary to know what depends on us and what does not. Constantly trying to conform to the expectations of others contradicts the ideas of Stoicism, which is based on developing inner freedom and independence. The price of illusions. The desire to please others can also undermine a person's self-confidence and leadership skills. Constantly busy satisfying the needs of others, a person may not notice how he suppresses his strengths and creativity. This can prevent him from realizing his potential and lead to personal degradation. Freedom to be yourself. In the long run, smart people focus on their own path instead of chasing external approval. They are confident in their own abilities and their value system. So, trying to please everyone is a form of behavior that can cause people to betray their own values and forget their uniqueness. Smart people are those who set healthy boundaries in communication, respect their values, and strive to develop harmonious relationships. Stoicism, inner support instead of external supports. Stoic philosophy encourages us to develop inner strength and independence from external evaluations. Stoics, drawing on the teachings of Epictetus, argue that man should strive to control not the events of the external world, but his perception of these events and his reaction to them. From the perspective of Stoicism, the desire to please others can destroy inner peace and lead to a loss of individuality as one becomes dependent on external approval, which leads to a loss of inner balance. Stoics advise us not to depend on external expectations and approval, but to focus our efforts on developing our best qualities and being true to our principles. Beyond short-term goals, looking to the future. The 8 things smart people avoid is focusing solely on short-term needs and immediate results, while completely ignoring long-term goals. This approach allows us to get what we want quickly and meet our current needs, but it prevents us from planning for the future and seeing ahead. Smart people, on the other hand, prefer strategic thinking and long-term planning because this approach is more likely to lead to sustained success and personal growth. The trap of short-term desires. Focusing on short-term solutions may seem appealing because it allows us to achieve quick results and meet current needs. However, this approach runs the risk of overlooking opportunities for growth and development that may not always be obvious, but can have a critical impact on our lives. For example, a person may miss the chance to get an education or learn new skills by being seduced by the possibility of immediate financial gain. In terms of Stoic philosophy, this way of thinking can prevent us from maintaining inner harmony. Stoics recommend that we think strategically and not give in to momentary emotional impulses. Fortitude and looking to the future. Epictetus wrote, "To know how long a man will last, it is enough to look at his character." While Stoics focus on developing strength of character and inner qualities, they argue that chasing short-term pleasures will not bring us long-term happiness and success. Growth strategy. By setting long-term goals and strategic planning, we keep in mind the things that are important to us and discover opportunities for growth beyond the short term. This approach is a solid foundation for both personal and professional development. Short-term thinking can lead to neglecting important aspects of life such as health, relationships, education, and self-development because it focuses on immediate needs and desires. Long-term planning, on the other hand, provides a more solid foundation for development and sustainable results. Stoicism, values versus immediate needs. Stoicism is a philosophical system that teaches you to protect your inner world and live according to your values. Short-term thinking is contrary to the principles of Stoicism because it often causes us to act contrary to our true beliefs. According to Epictetus, the Stoics remind us that we should be concerned not so much with the events themselves, but with how we perceive them and what meaning we attach to them. The path to harmony. According to Stoic philosophy, the pursuit of instant gratification will not lead us to inner peace or give our lives meaning. The Stoics recommend that we develop our best qualities and not allow ourselves to be manipulated by external circumstances. In this context, short-term thinking is incompatible with Stoic ideas because it pushes us to live in the past or future, depriving us of the opportunity to realize the present moment. So, we've told you about 8 things that smart people avoid. Right, I'm a Stoic, and I'll know you've watched this video to the end. I hope you find these tips useful. Share this video with anyone who might need it and leave a comment.